Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Savagery of the Orcs is going to be facing off against the Primal Fury of the Beastmen. I will be commanding the Greenskins today, and Krabling will be commanding the Beastmen. So for the Greenskin army, it is going to be a Savage Orc Biggins for that front line. We are going to be getting 5 units of those. There's going to be a couple of goblins in the forefront just to kind of take a little bit of the pounding from the Beastmen, either from range or with their mobility themselves. For the heroes and lords, we do have a Night Goblin Shaman on the Greenskin side, just going to be bringing Vindictive Glare. And for the lord, it is going to be Grom the Paunch. He is going to be coming in with a Language of the Boys, Lucky Banner, as well as the Great Un is here. So Lucky Banner does give that 40 extra melee attack damage resistance, and then we have a Great Un here, 16 leadership, base weapon damage, and melee attack, and then the Language of the Boys gives immune to psychology and a nice little bit of a leadership buff. For some more spell casting, it is going to be an Orc Shaman. Orc Shaman is going to be coming in with Brain Bursta and Edbutt. So Brain Bursta does have some nice little AoE explosion, and then we have Edbutt, which is a little teardrop, pretty much doing the same thing. Going to be some nice cheap chaff clearing tools, and Brain Burst can do a little bit more armor piercing if you do overcast that. Well, Headbutt is just going to give you some raw damage, but it is rather low in the armor piercing department. For the mobility, it is going to be Goblin Wolf Rider Archers, Forest Goblin Spider Riders, and we are going to also have some Forest Goblin Spider Riders, the melee variant. It is going to be very similar on both sides, so it's going to be 3 of each of the Goblin Wolf Rider Archers and 3 Forest Goblin Spider Riders. And then in the very back, there is going to be the 8-Beak Loonies, the ROR Fanatics, who are going to be unbreakable and, of course, have their Fanatics. Now, for the Beastmen, they do have a bit of mobility themselves, as they do have a pair of Centaurs on this far left flank, and they are going to have one with another Chaos Warhounds with Poison on the far flank. For the front line, it is going to be Gore Herds with shields, just going to be have a rider loose formation and are just going to be moving on forward. Fairly cheap infantry, not really going to be heavy armor, not going to be putting up much of a fight, but it is going to be infantry nonetheless. But the heavy hitters for the Beastmen army is going to be the Chaos Spawn. There's going to be 3 units of those, as well as the Butchers of Kalkengard, the ROR Minotaurs with shields, and they have some very nasty stats. They have regeneration, they have fear, they have terror, and they also have blood greed, which gives them plus 15 leadership and immune to psychology. Of course, they have terror, so they already have that going for them. For the spellcasting, it is going to be a Ray Shaman of Wild, especially with all those Savage Orcs. Savage Orcs do have physical resist, so some nice magic coming in there against them. So we do have Bray Scream, a nice little breath attack. We have Devolve, actually, an interesting thing. I haven't usually seen this one. So it causes damage to combatants, is strong versus both combatants, but it is, so it's pretty much like a Flock of Doom-like ability. And then we have, it looks like Jagged Dagger as well for a nice little bit of power recharge and power reserves, and being on the chariot is going to be providing that caster with a nice little bit of a tankiness in those engagements. And for the lord, it is just going to be a generic beast lord rolling on in, just going for a nice cheap, just a nice little chariot lord to contend Grom the Paunch, and he does have Primal Fury, Apocalyptic Vision, which gives leadership and melee attack in an AoE around him, and then he has Horn of the First Beast, which gives plus 24 melee attack, charge bonus, and leadership. And it does recharge if he's immediately, and that does affect allies in an AoE, but that is going to be it for both sides. So let's get things rolling, as both sides going to be getting underway. The Butchers of Kalkengard get a meaty charge right into these goblins, sending them all the way across the map here, as they get a beautiful charge, doing a ton of damage to those goblins on the initial charge. But now the Savage Orcs going to be charging on in themselves, and they are going to be able to do some nice bit of damage. Looks like we have a Vindictive Glare going to be going off at pretty point blank range, going to be doing a nice little bit of damage to the Bray Shaman, a nice little poke damage here and there, while Grom is kind of circling around looking for the engagement he wants, while the Savage Orcs that are engaging with just the Gore Herd are doing rather well, but some of the other units taking a bit of damage, especially with those Chaos Spawn mixed in. Those Chaos Spawn are going to be unbreakable, so it's going to be very hard for them to really get broken, while the Savage Orcs are suffering mightily on that front line, taking a lot of damage across the board. And we get a nice little, looks like Bray Scream going in, and a nice Fanatics going right through the line as well, hitting the Gore Herd and the Chaos Spawn as well, doing a nice bit. Now the Butchers of Kalkengard have taken a bit of damage themselves, but they do have regeneration, so they'll be able to heal through all of that and then some. And on the flanks, we're seeing these Centaurs are trying to contend with all the Skirmish Cav, the Wah Pops as well, but the Skirmish Cav doing a nice bit of damage to the Beastmen mobility. On the other side, they are able to really break this flank here. They are going to be losing out on the Forest Goblin Spider Riders, but the other Centaurs are really outnumbered here on this flank, though for them, their infantry department has done a little better, as they are able to break one of the the units completely, and now the center ranks is underway with Grom charging on in. He does pop that lucky banner, and we're going to be getting a nice Brace Scream right into the middle of all these units. These Gore Herd taking a nice bit of damage, and all of the Chaos Spawn as well. Butchers of Kalkengard are going to be able to tank that just a little bit better. But now Grom is in a little bit of a bad spot here, as the only thing holding things back is these 8-peak loonies, as he alone is going to be standing against. He has been able to deal a nice bit of damage to the Brace Shaman, but he is in a rather bad spot here, as it is all Chaos Spawn. We have just the Butchers of Kalkengard, and he is going to get right on out of there. Does not want to be lasting any bit longer than he has to. And we take a little swing out at how things are going. The rest of the skirmish cap on the far flank for the Greenskins have done rather well, able to get one of the Centaurs off the field, and the other one is in hot pursuit of those Goblin Wolfriders on that side, while these 3 units are just kind of cleaning up all the mobility. So while the mobility has gone very well for the Greenskins, that center ranked all of that infantry. The Savagery big guns are rather expensive. They are 900 costing, and they have taken a massive amount of damage. There is very little left on the field in terms of them. They had just a few very scattered units who have taken a ton of damage across the board. However, the Brace Shaman of Wild has taken quite a bit of damage and is going to be routing, and Grom and that Orc Shaman is in hot pursuit with the Chaos Spawn hot on their heels, as is that Beast Lord. And Grom just staying ever so, but he is going to be getting a little hit here by that Beast Lord, as he does get a little caught out, but he's going to be able to free himself and continue his pursuit of this Brace Shaman, just trying to get rid of all of that magic. But at this point, he is long ways away from the rest of his army, as all of the infantry, we do have some Savage Orcs still left and remaining, beating as hard as they can, but they are on their last legs here. They are not going to be able to bring down those Butchers by their lonesome, as they are going to get terrified and rout off the field, as the Butchers do turn their attention elsewhere. And that Night Goblin Shaman is going to be caught in the tree line with some very nasty Chaos Spawn here, going to be doing a lot of damage to that Night Goblin Shaman, and is going to be causing it to rout. Still has a bit of HP yet, but all of those Chaos Spawn and these Gore Herd are not going to be given that Night Goblin Shaman any room for breathing. And Grom looks like it is going to be able to continue the pursuit to chase off that Brace Shaman, and he is going to be healing all the while he is out there. But of course, those Butchers like Kalkengard, they themselves have that regeneration, so it is kind of going to be a little bit of a wash there, and the Butchers are going to be a lot harder for Grom himself to deal with the more health that they get back. And the Orc Shaman, not really the best in melee, but is going to be running for the hills on top of his boar, as all of the very angry spawn actually slowing down that Beast Lord just a little bit, preventing that Beast Lord from really getting on top of that the Orc Shaman there. And the rest of the mobility, still a few Centaurs remaining, but they are going to be getting slowly kind of kited away, dragged down, as all of these Force Goblin Spider Riders and the Goblin Wolf Rider Archers are just going to turn and fight here. Those Centaurs are low enough where they're going to be able to win this engagement, especially considering those Force Goblin Spider Riders. They do have poison when they are in melee, and especially getting a few shots coming in from those Goblin Wolf Rider Archers. Those Centaurs are not going to be able to last too long, but they are able to do a nice bit of damage to those Force Goblin Spider Riders, and kind of getting them very low, but they will end up routing before they're able to deal a punishing blow. And that Night Goblin Shaman finally going down. The Chaos Spawn and the Gore Herd able to finish that job. And in comes Grom the Punch. There is a little separation here in the army from the Beastmen, as the Spawn taking a bit of shots in the rear as one unit does fall down, and Grom charges on in, punting one of them off into the distance, and that is going to free him up to regroup with the rest of his army. Be getting a little charge into these Gore Herds, trying to break as many units as possible against the Beastmen before the rest of the heavy hitters, those Butchers of Kalkengard, coming charging in right into battle, rolling right on through, doing a little barrel rolls here and there. A beautiful charge in. They should make quick work of these Force Goblin Spider Riders. Grom just needs to try and get as much damage in as he can. The bounce bar is rather even if it is slightly Beastman favored, though these Butchers are going to be such a hard unit to bring down. Well, Grom does pop the Great End is here, and Lucky Banner, as he is engaged with that Beast Lord, and we are going to be getting a little brain burst here, just trying to get as much damage wherever they can, just trying to peel off as much HP as possible, because these Butchers of Kalkengard, they are the major threat here, and Grom is going to have his work cut out for him if he is even going to have any hope at dealing with those guys. There are just so much mass left for the Beastmen, and just trying to peel off. All the Chaos Spawn are getting very low, and the Beast Lord going to be dueling it out with Grom the Paunch, head on head, chariot on chariot. And there's going to be a few of the Butchers and the Chaos Spawn as well, though, going to be coming in for a few hits. And Grom does not want to be sticking around any longer than he has to with all of these units, because the Lucky Banner has worn off, so he's going to be without that ward save, and he's taken quite a bit of damage, getting very low himself, trying to pull out. The order has been given, but he is going to be stuck in with all of these Chaos Spawn, just able to pull on out before the rest of his army just completely collapses around him. But that Beast Lord in hot pursuit, all of the Forest Gone Spiders just trying to muck things up as best they can, and the Orc Shaman charging forward, as well as that Beast Lord just continually getting some good hits into Grom the Punch as he does try and turn tail and run, and he is finally able to gain a little bit of separation, pull on him back out, just get a little bit extra HP as all of the mobility for the Greenskins just continuing to chase things down. Looks like we have a few units coming back on the far fringes. We have some Forest Goblin Spider Riders, I believe, on that far side, and a few units returning on the other. But they are a long ways from the rest of the Greenskin army, and the Beastmen just proving to be so very strong here in the late game. These Butchers just refuse to go down. They still have 8 models left, and those are 8 very, very angry Minotaurs, as Grom just tries to get as much damage, and he gets a nice little charge through these Goreherd, but he is getting fairly low himself, and he just cannot afford to stay in sustained combat. And with him being a Chariot Lord, this is just not the crowd he wants to deal with. He doesn't have the freedom to just kind of charge in and out of all these very high mass units, just trying to get as much damage, slowly just chipping away as best he can, but balance power is slipping further and further away from the Greenskins, as it looks like in the backside, the Beast Lord has been able to get rid of that Orc Shaman, shattering it completely, and Grom trying to come in for the kill, gets a charge in against the Beast Lord, gets one hit in, but the Beast Lord returns it. Lucky Banner is popped, but that is going to be too little too late. He does end up routing, and that will be our match as the Beastmen do remain victorious. And let's take a little look at the after battle report here real quick and see just how things did on both sides. So for the Beastmen, led by Crabling, the Minotaurs, the Butchers of Kalkengard, getting 1,700, doing very, very well. I know they were just too much for the Greenskins to really bring down. All the Skirmish Cav, they're just not going to be able to get that damage. Pretty much the healing from these guys going to be able to outpace most of the damage coming their way. And they were just a fearsome foe. Rest of the Chaos Spawn doing rather well. A couple of them getting close to 1,000 in total value. However, the mobility not doing so great. We did have one of the Centaurs get a 740, though the rest of them just kind of fell a little short. And then the front line actually did a lot better than you would expect. They were able to get like 500, 600. So with the assistance of those Chaos Spawn and the high mass units, they were actually able to trade fairly well into those Savage Orcs, get some nice value themselves. And then we have the Brave Shaman Wild, not getting a whole lot of damage, only 444. While the Beast Lord rocking in with 2,700 in total value, doing very well, just cycling in and out of all those Savage Orcs and doing quite a bit of damage to Grom itself. Now for the Beastmen, or for the Greenskins here, the Skirmish Cav doing all right, able to at least pay for themselves, getting some nice damage. And actually some of these Goblin Wolf Rider archers doing quite a bit better than the Forest Goblin Spider Riders. Just the raw damage was able to kind of just slowly pepper away. You pretty much used up all of the ammunition across all 6 of the Skirmish Cav, so some nice value generated throughout all of those guys. Both of the melee variant not doing as well. And then we have the Savage Orc Biggins. One unit was able to get 1,100, though none of the other units were able to pay for themselves. As I said, they do cost 900, so they are rather expensive units, but normally they can do very well. Unfortunately, against all that high mass, just unfortunately, we're not able to do that. The AP Clunies, probably one of the mistakes here in this fight on my end, was how I used AP Clunies. I was able to get one Fanatic cast off, but then I kind of forgot about them, and they needed to be kind of just use the Fanatics, pull back, wait, get some more Fanatics off. But I mean, looking at the army that the Beastmen have, the Fanatics really wouldn't have had too much of an impact. Just all of the Butchers of Kalkengard, all of the Chaos Spawn, just all these high mass units just won't take that much damage from those spinning loons. Rest of the units, the Orc Shaman doing rather well, 1,300, those Brain Bursts and Headbutts getting a nice bit of damage here. Knight Goblin Shaman only got in like 1 Vindictive Glare or 2 into some of the Chariots, able to get some decent value, but not quite enough to even pay for itself. And then Grom the Punch getting 1,800, generating some nice value despite being on the run for a lot of that ending there. Was able to just kind of slowly drag things out, but in the end it was not quite enough as the Beastmen do emerge victorious. That's all I'm going to have for today. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good one.